2:13 a.m. Some conversations only happen when the rest of the world is asleep. Rain tapped softly against the apartment window while the pale glow of Tokyo flickered across May's ceiling. 2:13 a.m., still awake. Again. She rolled onto her back with a frustrated sigh and stared at the unread messages glowing faintly on her phone screen. Work, deadlines, apologies she still hadn't answered. The city outside never seemed to sleep, yet somehow nights always felt unbearably lonely. Without thinking much, May grabbed her phone and pressed a random contact she meant to delete weeks ago. The call rang once, twice. Then someone answered. Hello? A tired male voice. May immediately sat upright. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Wrong number. She moved to hang up. Wait. The voice stopped her gently. For a second, only rain filled the silence between them. Then he spoke again. You sounded disappointed, someone answered. May blinked. That's a strange thing to say to a stranger at 2 a.m. It's 2:13. That somehow makes it worse. A faint laugh came through the speaker. Soft, sleepy, real. For some reason, she didn't hang up. His name was Yu. At least, that's what he told her 3 nights later. The first conversation lasted 40 minutes. The second lasted almost 2 hours. By the end of the week, 2:13 a.m. no longer felt accidental. It became routine. Every night, rain against windows, dim apartment lights, quiet breathing trough phone speakers, conversations that somehow felt easier in the dark. May still didn't know what Yu looked like. Only fragments. He liked canned coffee. He walked around Tokyo when he couldn't sleep. He hated silence but pretended otherwise. And somehow his voice had slowly become the safest part of her nights. I think I tell you more things than people I've known for years. Tokyo glowed softly outside her window, while distant sirens echoed somewhere beyond the rain. Yu's voice remained calm through the phone speaker. That's because I'm temporary. The answer caught her off guard. What does that mean? It means people are honest with strangers. Rain slid slowly against the glass beside her. May lowered her eyes. I don't want you to be temporary. For a moment, silence filled the line. Not awkward, just heavy. Then Yu spoke softly. Me neither. Days passed, then weeks. Without realizing it, May started shaping her nights around 2:13 a.m. She rushed home earlier, kept coffee beside her bed, stayed awake waiting for his call. Sometimes they talked about meaningless things, favorite songs, bad convenience store food, train stations at night. Other times the conversations became softer, more dangerous somehow. What do you think loneliness feels like? May asked quietly one rainy night. Yu took a while to answer. Like going home and having nobody ask if you made it back safely. The words lingered heavily inside her chest. Outside, Tokyo trains moved faintly through the darkness. May looked toward the rain-covered skyline outside her apartment. I think loneliness feels like having too much to say, and nobody to tell. For a while, neither spoke again, but somehow the silence between them felt intimate instead of empty. One night, Yu didn't call. 2:13 a.m. passed, then 2:20, 2:47. Nothing. May stared at her phone screen while rain hammered softly against the city outside. A strange ache settled inside her chest. She hated how quickly she had gotten used to him. The next night, still nothing. And suddenly, Tokyo felt colder again. 3 nights later, her phone finally rang. 2:13 a.m., May answered immediately. Where were you? The relief in her voice appeared too quickly to hide. For a moment, Yu stayed quiet. Then, my father collapsed. The exhaustion in his voice made her chest tighten instantly. Is he okay? He's stable now. Rain drifted softly through the silence between them. May sat slowly beside her apartment window. You should have told me. I didn't know if you'd care. The answer hurt more than it should have. Outside, neon lights blurred through rainwater like distant memories. You. I waited every night. Silence, then soft breathing through the speaker. For the first time since they met, neither of them tried hiding what this had become. A week later, Yu suddenly asked, "Do you want to meet?" May froze immediately. The question had always existed quietly between them, but hearing it aloud felt terrifying somehow. Real. When? Tomorrow. Rain moved gently against her apartment window. Where? There's a small cafe near Shibuya Station. Yu hesitated briefly. I'll be there at 2:13 p.m. May laughed softly. Of course you picked that. Tea time. It feels important now. Her heartbeat suddenly felt much louder than the rain. The next afternoon, Tokyo looked completely different in daylight. Crowded sidewalks, bright signs, people rushing past without looking at one another. May stood outside the cafe, gripping her umbrella too tightly. Nervous, excited, terrified. Then she saw him. Black coat, dark, tired eyes, coffee in his hand. Exactly how she imagined, and somehow completely different at the same time. Yu noticed her almost immediately. For a moment, neither moved. The city noise around them faded into something distant and blurred. Then slowly, carefully, he smiled. Small, real. The same smile she had heard hidden inside his voice for months. May walked toward him through the soft afternoon rain. You know? She said quietly after stopping in front of him. You sound taller on the phone. Yu laughed softly. That might be the worst opening line I've ever heard. It's all I had. Rain drifted gently between them while Tokyo moved endlessly around the station. Yet somehow, standing there beside him, the city no longer felt lonely at all. Yu looked at her carefully for a moment before speaking. You're exactly how I imagined. May's chest tightened softly, dangerously, warmly. Then, before she could overthink it anymore, she stepped closer beneath the umbrella between them. Close enough to feel the warmth of him against the cold rain. For months they had existed only as voices in the dark, midnight conversations, lonely thoughts shared through phone speakers. But now he was finally real, and somehow that felt even more intimate. Yu's fingers brushed gently against hers near the umbrella handle. Warm, careful, like he was afraid she might disappear. May looked up at him quietly while soft rain drifted across Tokyo around them, then smiled. Tonight, she whispered softly. Don't call me at 2:13. Yu blinked slightly. Why? Her fingers tightened gently around his. Because I'd rather see you in person.